Hello, hello. I'm super excited that you guys have joined me today. I am here today with Erica Wiederlight, and she is a specialist in burnout. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, wait a second, there's a specialist in this? I know. And here we are today to uncover and unpack some of the simple solutions that we can try in our own businesses.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. This is going to be a really special and needed conversation for everybody.
We've just got so many friends here. Prudence says, how to set shorter term goals for a limited time like 3 days. My brain misfires even without the mistletoe season. What suggestion would you give to Prudence?
Ooh, Prudence, I love this. I resonate. I'm severely ADHD. It sounds great to me to do a monthly goal, and I can't. I'm just like, my brain doesn't operate in that way. So I hear you in this. And I think let's just start with 3 days, or let's just start with a day. I always like to micro step everything. I know for me, if I'm like, this next year, or this next month, I'm going to do this, it's like, oh no, I just know it doesn't work for me. For some people, it does. I know for me, it doesn't work. So I kid you not, sometimes I do weekly, like, okay, Erica, we're gonna do this meditation for just this week. And Prudence, if you feel like, I think I can get behind 3 days or I can get behind 2 days, fantastic. Let's try it for 3 days. Maybe it's, guys, I'm gonna try a meditation for 3 days, or I'm gonna do a 15-minute workout for 3 days. Great, let's try it. And then on the fourth day, let's evaluate and see, okay, should I keep going? Should I try something different? So there's no shame in that game. That's fabulous. That's how you operate in the world. Great. Let's use it to our advantage. I'm the same way. So it's a superpower. Let's use it as a superpower and we'll fit how it works best for you. I love that question.
I think having a time limit sometimes is freeing.
Yes.
Where you say, I'm going to do something for 3 days or I'm going to do something for 5 days. It's not overwhelming, like I got to change my whole life, but I'm going to give this a try for a couple of days or for a week or for 14 hours per week or whatever, so that you have something to shoot for, number one, and you don't let yourself off the hook so easy. I think oftentimes burnout does not happen overnight. And I think it does not recover overnight.
Mm.
I think it's something that you have to stick with long enough that some change can happen. And I like to look at the alternatives. I know one time I was in burnout mode and I fired myself from the cleaning business. And I went and I worked at Labor Ready. And it was the hardest work I've ever done.
Mm.
And it was physical labor at a thrift store. And at the end of the day, they took taxes out and they paid me minimum wage. And I made $14 at the end of the day. And I had never worked so hard in my whole life. And I was like, wow. And they gave me the check and I started laughing hysterically. I'm like, this is the hardest I've ever worked for the least amount of money. And
Mm.
I framed the check. I didn't even cash it. I framed it because it was such an interesting lesson for me that on my worst day, I was better off working for myself in the cleaning business than I was giving up and working for someone else. And so I think sometimes to put a time limit on something and then to give yourself permission, like I need a change of pace.
Yeah.
And as a marathon runner, I know that there are times when I would get burned out from running. It's a lot of monotonous running. You're doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over, and you run the same routes. And then I would stop and I would cross train. Like, I got to get away from running for just a little bit. And then I would do something totally different. I would go swim for a while. I'd lift weights. I'd do something completely different. And it would like, whoa, all right, I use some different muscles. Now I can come back to running again. And when I came back, then I had a new outlook doing an old thing.
There's so many lessons in that. And I think you hit it on the head too, that sometimes I know for me, I like to feel like I did it. I did it. So the 3 day thing actually, that could be superb, or I'm going to take
Uh,
it just a week. I'm going to take it 3 days. Cause not only is it like, okay, great. I could feel into it. We also are proud of ourselves and we could celebrate like, I didn't think I could do it and I did it. And that also, the deal that boosts the confidence. For me, the confidence piece also is a big link. Pleasure and the confidence piece is a huge link to the burnout conversation. So if we could do that, again, making something up, that meditation for 3 days, we could turn to ourselves and say, I'm so proud of myself. I didn't think I had capacity for this. I always say to my clients, not only are we doing the thing that makes us feel good, but in addition, we have the additional layer of like, and I'm proud of myself that I committed to
uh-huh.
myself. I love the 3 day thing, week thing, whatever works for you. That's part of this conversation is feeling into what's most supportive to me. And I always have my clients, I want to say this briefly, I always have them ask themselves, what do I need right now? Almost
Uh-huh.
like a really loving parent. What would be most supportive? That's a big part of the burnout conversation too. Because sometimes we're like, flailing or like, I don't know, I'm kind of on autopilot. So I always have my clients talk to themselves like they're the most loving caretaker, loving parent. Like, hey, babe, what do you need? What do you need, my darling? And it might be like, I need to sleep. I need to have that cup of tea or I need this. And so the needs conversation again is big into the burnout. So I just wanted to highlight that if you're listening to this conversation, there's so much to take away from this. But if you're like, guys, give me a tool, we could start with that, especially during the holiday season, asking, what do I need?
Yes, and I love that you brought that up because the what do I need? And many house cleaners, because we're people pleasers and because we're givers, sometimes what we need is we need the validation that we did a good job.
Mm,
And because we're not getting it, and a lot of times the holidays it's kind of highlighted because a lot of people spend their money on gifts and then they don't give the house cleaners a tip or
yeah.
something. And some house cleaners get lots of tips, and then the other house cleaners that don't feel like, well, am I not good enough? Why didn't I get $500 in tips or whatever? And so when you ask, what do you need? One of the things that we discovered, and this is absolutely free to do, is when we're doing the inspection at a house and we've got our clipboards in front of us and we're marking off the things that we did. One of the things that I love to do is I stop and I look around the room as I'm inspecting it and I ask myself, did I do a good job?
Mm.
And Erica just brought this up. Am I proud of what I did? Am I proud of myself? Yes, I am. Check it out. I did a great job. And I visually give myself a thumbs up, like, yes, I did a great job. And that's myself validating I did a great job. Now, what's interesting is the homeowners that are watching you on their home security cameras, they see you giving yourself a thumbs up and nodding like, uh-huh, yeah, I did a great job. And I can't tell you how many times they've showed their friends like, oh my gosh, my house cleaner is at my house right now. Check it out. And they'll show people their phone, like, look, she just gave herself a thumbs up and she's nodding like, "Mhm, yeah, this is the best." And people are like, how do I hire your house cleaner? We've picked up so many leads and referrals as a result of us giving ourselves a thumbs up and like, "Mhm, yeah, I did a good job. Check it out. I
Yes.
did a good job." And it's a goofy thing, but I can't tell you how well it
Mhm.
works. And when you leave that room, and this is every room in the house, when you leave every room in a customer's house and you're like, uh-huh, yeah, yeah, oh yeah, I'm it. It makes you feel really good, and
Yeah.
when you leave the house, you leave with your head held high, and you feel like, "You know what? I gave this house my best." As I'm leaving a house and I'm carrying my cleaning caddy out to my car, there's this moment where you're whipped. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not gonna be ugly, but when you leave, you're like, "Oh, I'm just whipped." That's when I stand up straight, and I'm like an actress, okay? Like, all the neighbors are watching me, I'm on stage, lights, camera, action. I'm walking to my car, and I walk with my best posture.
Yeah.
And I walk out of the house, and I ask myself this question: "If this was the last house I ever cleaned,
Mm.
is this how I wanna go out?"
Oof.
And I'm like, yes, it is. I just gave that house my very best.
Yes.
And I walk out to my car and I put my stuff in my car, like, ta-da! And I can't tell you, it comes through. And
Yep.
people are like, oh my gosh, I saw your house cleaner come out of the house, really proud of their work. We've had people literally run up to us and go, hey, do you have any openings? Can you come bid my house? Yes, I can. And
Mm.
I'll swap out one worksheet for the next, walk across the street and bid a job right there and just close it. Like, you asked
Wow.
me, you just saw what we're doing. Let me just write up the order.
That is the best thing I've literally ever heard. I do it literally every session, whether it's group or individual. Every start of the call, I do celebrations. And people are like, no. And I'm like, no. And so I love that you highlighted that because that talk about like business and showing up like you as the brand and being in celebration of yourself. And this is a tool that we could all take away. Thank you for sharing that story. That's literally the best thing I've ever heard. But I always tell my clients before every call, before we jump in, before we go to the stuff, give me some celebrations. And you think, oh, what an easy tool. How silly. And then it's like, oh, I have to really celebrate myself. And
Mhm.
it's so powerful. So this is another tool that we could take away today as well is daily celebrate. I love what you did. I think if everyone can integrate that, chef's kiss. And another one is celebration. So you know what? I'm really proud of myself that I got that toy on sale for my nephew. I'm really proud of
Mhm.
myself how I really tried and I made the wrapping extra proud. Like I want us to get into a mode of celebration. Because, like you said, it translates in someone's energy when they're like, I'm proud of myself. I'm worthy. I'm deserving. You're like, who is that person? I want to know them. But on a business perspective, who is that person? I want that person in my energy. So I love that you gave that example. That is so fabulous. And I think it's a nice way to wrap it up. Like wrap up the work that you just did. It's like, yeah, I feel good. I can move on. I love that. I think that's so cool.
And our time is up
I
for today. It's just zipped right by. And I want to say thanks to all of you guys that have showed up today. But please, Erica, tell our listeners where they can go to find you.
Of course. And please, please, please come to find me. I love this conversation. There's so much more to talk about. As we talked about before, you can find me on my website, which is wethelight.org. You can hit me an email, keep the conversation going because you've really created such a special space and we all need to be held in this. So thank you for having me. I'm just so jazzed that we can continue this conversation off of this platform. So thank you.